Morning, everybody. It's Tasha, mamabearprepping. So, welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Get your drink, pull up. Let's talk about it. Today, I kind of want to talk about a topic. I've talked briefly about this topic in regards to states of emergency, what that means for us, things that you can do to kind of prepare. In that video, I think I talked more about migration, evacuation, what that looks like, knowing the laws, policies, the things that are in place when a state goes into a state of emergency. What I want to talk about today is what it would look like, basically why we would be in a situation where we would have multiple states of emergency, what to expect, so stuff that would happen if we had states of emergency, and like multiple, like a lot. Okay. And then, lastly, how you can prepare. Now, if you didn't know, obviously we've been in some sort of health crisis, right, for the last several years. And so we've been in some form of national, emergency, state of emergency, if you will, already this whole time, which actually it's called like the National Emergency Act or something. That actually was extended. That state of emergency, that federal emergency, was actually extended in February for specifically the medical crisis, COVID, right? So if you didn't know that, recently, as in this last February, that was just extended. But at any time you can go and you can Google, hey, what states are in a current state of emergency, have declared that, the reasoning why, and most importantly, when does stuff expire? Now, currently there's several states right now that are in a state of emergency. Most of them, if you go on there, they are still having to do in the realm of, COVID, right? And that stuff. So what I want to do is I want to talk about this more in a sense of, multiple states of emergency, what things could lead to that. So for my why, outside of medical crisis, we have uptick in violence, like a lot of uptick in violence, and mostly an uptick in violence that local governments, state governments cannot get a hold on or feel like they need some sort of help. Because when you do a state of emergency, that's like a declaration to everybody that like, hey, something major is happening here and we need help. The food crisis, when it hits, is going to be a huge one. Gas, right? Supply and demand. So basically the ability to be able to get things and not get things really. If you have that happening on a big scale, on a big scope is what I'm talking about, you're going to have states that might be like, we're in a state of emergency. We have no more food. We have no more supplies coming in. Our people can't get stuff. And even though it may be something that's going across the country and will be tried to be normalized on social media and news media, I think that if it gets too bad, you are going to have states that are going to enact stuff. And that's because they can do more. There's more written to the law when there's emergencies. There's also stuff that works against us as well. That's the negatives that they can use against us as well when they enact this stuff. But in theory, it's supposed to be, because it's a declaration that something's going on and we need help. Weather is a huge one. Okay. We're about to go into like one of the worst hurricane seasons. Tornadoes have been out of control the last 2 years. They've been out of control, hitting in spots that they haven't hit in decades, if not centuries, right? It's a lot. Okay. You have even small scale stuff like where I live, the amount of wind and hail and the length that winter is lasting is not normal, right? It has changed. And so those weather patterns and those things that are unpredictable when it comes to weather can lead to states of emergency. You're going to see states declare states of emergency this summer just from hurricanes, you guys. Okay. Soon. We have one that's about to hit soon. I mean, so this is a big, big deal. Okay. I already mentioned medical crisis. Other stuff that could be happen would be foreign conflict, right? Any kind of, and I'm not just talking about nuclear, but nuclear conflict. Obviously, on our soil, you have states that will lock down, like, holy crap, what's going on? You have EMP threats, missile EMP threats. You have other stuff, more natural stuff like solar flares, CMEs, that type of stuff. So there's a gambit of different things that could happen that could cause a state to go into a state of emergency. And what I want us to prepare is the day that something major happens that causes multiple states to shut down. Maybe not shut down, but basically declare that something has happened and that they need help. But obviously, if it's everybody, help is not, that's the number one thing. Help's not coming on in the way. Okay. So what you should expect, violence is going to go up. Anytime something crazy happens, chaos happens, violence is just going to go up because you have a certain part of the population that doesn't know any better. They just don't know any better. All they know is violence. All they know is how to try to take. And depending on how bad things get, you're just going to continue to have those folks try to take advantage of people. Next thing I have is the lines will be drawn. When I say the lines will be drawn, you're going to have states that are going to close up shop. And what I mean is they are going to close their borders. They're going to close up shop. They're going to start worrying about themselves, their food, their level of resources, their protection, their ability to protect themselves. They're going to be shutting it down to protect themselves, depending on what happens. Okay. This can look a lot of different ways, right? For example, health crisis, you had people talking about, borders possibly closed, trying to regulate travel and different things like that. Or you had states that had states of emergency for health reasons, right? For public health, and they were implementing their own protocols, their own mandates. They were trying to work through this in their own way. So you're going to have those individual governments trying to do stuff all internally to take care of their state, right? So you have city, you have counties, you have state level authority that are going to be trying to do stuff to keep everything kind of in-house. But on the same thing, what you can expect is don't expect much. Okay. You can't sit there and be like, well, I don't expect the federal government to come and help us for anything. But don't necessarily expect and think that your own state is going to come in and save the day, that you're just going to sit there, something has happened, and your state is going to come in and save you. That's why we prepare, so that you can depend on yourself and you can take care of yourself, so that you're not having to worry about those entities and hoping that they're coming to get you. So I would say don't get your hopes up either. Okay. I said expect border closures, possibly depending on how bad it got. Obviously, expect travel. This goes way beyond medical concerns, you guys. This goes off of, now it could be another major pandemic, but something big that has like a huge kill, percentage, right? But this can be something as simple as just, there's no food and they're wanting to keep their resources. Okay. You could expect that any kind of exports, imports, that type of stuff, whatever they're able to import, still they would, whatever they actually export out of that state, possibly there would be some kind of movement to keep that said product in their state to take care of their own people instead of sending it out to save the world. You can expect possible employment of the guard, depending on what's going on and what they're trying to actually do. Again, this could be so bad that it doesn't matter. There is no guard. There is no, or there's a guard, but there's no reason to call them, right? It's too big of an issue. And I would say what you could expect is you have what you have. I talk about this all the time about you have whatever you have in your house. When things go left, you're going to have whatever Whatever you have in your house is whatever you're going to have. You're going to have to start rationing. You're going to have to figure it out, right? Well, the same goes for your states. If you have multiple states popping off a state of emergency and like the whole world is going to crap, whatever you have is whatever you have. So that includes whatever EMTs you have, whatever hospitals you have, whatever police officers, security guards, whatever, guard, National Guard, whatever your numbers are for that type of people is what you're going to have. Okay. And so that can be scary because if you don't have the numbers, or you're some state that's trying to push out the police and push out, like it got real squirrely there with our EMTs and our medical folks as far as, mandatory jabs and stuff. Right. I really thought that was going to go real left and really bite us in the butt. That could have really bit us in the butt if something was to happen and we didn't have the numbers because of that. But you're going to have, what you have, whatever those numbers look like is what you're going to have. And I'll tell you, depending on what happens and how bad it gets, you have a lot of those folks that are going to go home. It's very noble for somebody to be like, job first, I'm here to serve and protect. But when something really, really bad happens, you're going to have a lot of folks that they are going to put their family first, and they're going to literally walk off the job and go and take care of their family. Okay. Maybe they come back, maybe they don't, but you have a lot of people that if it goes really left, they're not going to be standing by their job. Okay. And, federal won't help. Right. So the whole point of declaring is that something's happening, right? So everybody knows what's happening, and they can get assistance, and they can act different things, right? Different monies, that type of thing. But again, it's just like in state, don't expect too much. Don't expect that the federal government, because your state declared that they are in a state of emergency, that means that the president is now coming, that he even cares, that they have the money allocated, that they even plan to help in any way. Okay. If it's not politically driven, I don't think you're going to get any kind of response. Okay. That you're probably hoping for if you were in the middle of a situation that's happening. Right. So let's talk about stuff you can do to prepare, because this is a pretty big thing. Like, how do you prepare for states of emergency? Really, I'm telling you how to prepare for SHTF, like big time, like something major has happened and you have total breakdown of government, right? And you have now states that would be, stepping up their game as far as now they realize they need to take care of themselves, right? And their own statesmen, right? So how do we prepare? Well, you research, first of all, what laws, what policies, what are the emergency plans for your local city, your county, your state. What things do they have already written up that you can openly go and look at and see? This is their emergency plans. If this happens, this is what they plan to do. If this happens, this is what they plan to do. I just learned recently for nuclear war, Washington State doesn't really have a game plan for, saving their citizens. And I think it's just because we are such a big target here, or a big part of our populace is at a disadvantage of possibly not making it. Okay. Because we are heavily, if I'm an enemy, we are like one of the areas that you're going to want to hit for various reasons. Okay. Various military reasons. And so there's a good chance we're done for. And so the state has recognized that. And if you didn't know that, they don't have anything. There's no policies to like plan to save folks and prepare for nuclear war. That's just not a thing, right? It's kind of silly to me. It's kind of like we don't prepare for tsunamis either, even though we know a tsunami is going to come as soon as the big one hits. It's like, okay, well, it's a 1 in whenever, 100 million chance that it's ever going to happen. So we're just not going to prepare, I guess. I don't know. But my point is, get into what is your guys's stance for your state in different emergency preparedness things. How do those other entities play into your state, right? FEMA, when that stuff is overridden, or they come in, FEMA and Red Cross and all that stuff, how does it play into that? Okay. Next thing is obvious. I'm just going to keep saying it. Continue to stack food, water, meds, food, water, meds, food, water, meds. Okay. Get you your everyday radios. So we talked a little bit about radios, but somebody brought up a good point in yesterday's video, the day before, about the AM FM radios that I often talk about. Everybody needs a basic AM FM radio, the ones that are just battery ran, solar ran, crank ran, whatever. And the subscriber mentioned that I believe it was a he, that he keeps his radio like that out open all the time because they have hurricanes and they have storms and they have to know about stuff. And oftentimes he said that he does get the alert on the AM FM radio before he gets an alert on his phone. Okay. And so it's good. So he has his out in the open. And so I'm going to steal that. I'm going to do that. We have all types of comms and stuff that we keep in the Faraday cage, but I'm going to get one of the smaller radios. We have a lot, and I'm going to pull it out and just have it kind of on a regular basis. This got me to thinking about police scanners as well, and just having an area in your home for everyday use of a basic police scanner and a basic AM FM radio that just plays basic. You can Google literally federally and also locally different stations that will give you information, whether it's weather, whether it's whatever, right? Emergency broadcast, and you just keep it on that stuff, right? And then that way you can get notifications a little bit earlier. Another thing you can do is get the apps. Get the apps on your phone. Yes, if something happens and your phone is taken out, the Wi-Fi internet is taken out, for whatever reason, right, that system goes down, then this doesn't work. But until it would not work, it would behoove you to have your different apps that give you emergency alerts, okay? Whether that's hurricane alerts, tornado alerts, weather alerts, maybe that's, what other kind of alerts? Fire alerts, right? Whatever it is in your area, right? Get those different apps, earthquake alerts. Get those different apps and get those alerts, okay? I have an earthquake app, and basically you can set it like, hey, I want a notification of any earthquakes 5.0 and higher, right? And so that way, you have the app. It's not going off like crazy, but you definitely know within a certain radius you can set it, any earthquakes within 5.0 or higher, whatever the case, okay? My point is, get these apps, get these emergency alert systems set up. Another thing is getting your emergency plans together, right? What are the things that would force you from your home? Most things will not force you from your home, okay? But what things will force you from your home? And then what is your plan to evacuate? And it could be a short-term thing. Hey, there's just a fire coming through. You've got to leave, okay? And so something that you do to prepare now is, yes, you have your bug out bags, but I want you to think about more of an evacuation bag, okay? You have to leave quickly from your home because some natural disaster is happening. And additionally, having your evacuation bag and your car kit done, meaning your car has all the things you need to be able to survive, right? Food, water, shelter, meds, some clothes. It has all the things that you need to survive, right? So your car and that evacuation bag, right? Or your bug out bags if that's what you want to take. But typically those two bags, they do have some of the same stuff, but some stuff is different, okay? So they might look a little bit different. Maybe you grab both the evacuation bag and your bug out bags. That's your guys' plan, but you need to come up with that and make sure you have that car kit done. Make sure you have those bags packed, ready to go, okay? Next thing for, a state of emergency crisis, just all this stuff is happening, is work now on your alternate healthcare plan. Meaning, what meds do you take now? Researching now holistic and different alternate things that you can take for the day that you don't have those over-the-counter meds or those prescriptions, right? What are foods you can eat, vitamins you can take, other holistic things that you can drink or take that will help you with that certain ailment that you have, that you take medicine for, okay? Yes, you can try all day to try to get that stuff prepped up, but eventually it runs out. So while you can now do the research, right? Stack up on your meds, your medical supplies, so that if it's a national emergency, it's a states of emergency, hospitals overran or they're closed down or whatever the case may be, you can take care of your own family. That's the point, is to be able to do stuff yourself. Okay. Research and write down those holistic options, right? Lately, I've been doing a lot of, I have a lot of holistic books, medicinal type books, but I've been going through and compiling, meaning I've been almost been making my own little doctor manual. I've been taking a topic, let's say fever, and then I will take all of my books and I will slowly start to research through all the books I have on everything that's in them for fever, different herbs, different teas, salves, whatever, tinctures you can make, different things that I can make, right, with medicinal plants, writing that down, then going to the web, researching what food is good for that ailment, what applications are needed, more herbs and more information out there that might not be in my books. And I basically just hit it hard on that one topic: fever, fever, fever. What did they do to reduce fever? What foods reduce fever? What herbs reduce? What plants reduce? How do you apply for fever? Just all of this stuff, okay? And I'm just applying and doing the notes and doing the notes and doing the notes. And I'm doing that while I have internet, while I have Wi-Fi, while I have the ability to get the information at the tip of my finger, right? And then I have my own one. I'm smarter because as I'm making myself research and write it down, I'm teaching myself. And then two, I'm compiling to where then when something happens and it's grid down and it's horrible and something's bad and I can't just call a doctor and somebody has a crazy fever and I've done all the basic things that a mom would do to break a fever, what else can I do? And I'm talking long term, like there's no more meds, I don't know, right? What could you do? Okay. And what is the old school holistic way? I want to have everything in my arsenal, okay, to fix something that happens to my family, okay? Continue to get your home in order, right? This is from continuing the security, continuing with fortification, continuing with weatherizing your home, right? For heat, for cold, whatever it is in your area, weatherizing your home against natural disasters. So like fireproofing, hurricane season, tornado season, maybe you get a lot of flooding in your area. Whatever it is, get your house ready for weather and the increase in weather, the change in weather, and try to forecast that, no pun intended, what it's going to look like and what's going to happen. And then what can you bring to the table in regards to protecting your home and keeping it safe from damage and all that stuff. Let's see. And I think the last thing I have, you guys, let me just look, is just continue to live, get closer to living self-sufficient. The more you can go towards that direction, the less stress is going to be on you when it really just hits it, right? Because something major happens, everybody around you is freaking out. And if you can stay calm and know, okay, we're not going to starve to death, we have food, or we have animals that we can eat, or I know how to hunt, or we have chickens that are laying eggs every day, just tons and tons of eggs, so we're going to have eggs. Just being blessed. Okay, we've got our backup ways for power, right? We have the solar, but we have some other stuff. Like, what is it that you're doing to be self-sufficient? Are you making your own compost? Are you making your own fertilizer? Are you making your own food products? Have you been preserving for a while? All of those things matter, right? Growing your own food, all of that stuff, moving towards being self-sufficient, right? And getting off of stuff, right? Getting off of grids where you can, getting off of social media where you can, whatever it is, overall, moving towards the goal of being self-sufficient to where you now. And I'm not even telling you, hey, just go live off the grid. I'm telling you to build towards being self-sufficient and the building the ability to be able to live off grid. So that live on grid, whatever, live on grid, live on the water, but what is your backup when that's not there, so that you can easily switch it over and the world doesn't fall apart on you because you didn't prepare. Okay. So just how I see it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'd love to hear in the comments your guys' thoughts on what do you think it looks like when you have multiple states of emergency. Now we have multiple states of emergency right now, right? So a lot of people will be like, Tasha, what's the big deal? We already have a bunch, but we know why those states of emergency are there, right? Because of this whole shenanigans of our pandemic, okay? That's why we have it. I'm talking more of multiple states are in a crisis because something major has happened. Okay. A nuke has dropped. A missile EMP has dropped somewhere. 5 or 6 states are ravaged by a hurricane. Several states ravaged by drought and fires. A state all of a sudden, several states at the same time running out of food. Okay. Can you imagine the headlines in the news when the first few states run out of food? It's going to be North Carolina ran out of food, right? It's going to be this state ran out of food, and it's going to be a big deal, right? Not realizing like it's about to be everybody. Okay. But as more and more situations pop up where it gets crazy like that, you're gonna all of a sudden start having states like, okay, this is hitting, like we've got to shut down because now we've got to try to protect ourselves and take care of ourselves and not everybody else, right? Certain states that I think would be better at that. There's certain states that I think naturally will be better at that just because they're more vast. But then you have states that I would think are going to be amazing at that. But then stuff has happened in those states and I'm like, oh my gosh, the government is horrible everywhere. Nobody knows how to prepare and get ahead of things. Everybody's reactive. And that's the scary part about this as well, is just, reacting instead of getting ahead of stuff and being proactive. So stay well, stay blessed, stay productive, and I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next video. Take care. Bye.